Okay, so this is where I'm at with this car, this 2010 Dodge Challenger project that I started about a year ago. I haven't been on it really that hard. Actually, I haven't really touched it at all for about 6 months due to work and other obligations. But I finally got it to the point where it's all the mechanicals are pretty much taken care of. There's a few things that have to be done. The airbag code has to be taken out of the system, and the airbags actually, even though I replaced the airbags, they're ones that were on warranty recall, so the dealership's going to have to do that. But I have everything just mocked up and just ready to go, as just to assure me before I proceed with my project. This is a running driving car, so to speak. And so that's where we are right now. Got the little things like the windows pop up real nice, and so fires up okay, which I'm pretty happy about. Haven't had the entire car apart. Virtually no mufflers. Those are Chinese knockoffs of something. I don't know, Flowmasters. When I fired it up, it blew out a bunch of cornflakes in the back, so they're pretty much just empty tin cans right now. Has a few more miles on it than what I was hoping, 97,000. I thought it only had 90. Believe it or not, the title says it only has 70, but this says 97. So I'm going to go with that. See the airbag lights on, tire pressure, don't know what that's about, and a check engine light, and also the windshield wiper fluids a little low. We had an issue back here. I have my tail lights in the back, and we had a little issue, or still have a little issue, with the pedal being just, the tab must be slightly bent that engages the switch for the brake lights. I put a little spacer on there to get them to shut off, but that's either have to be bent back, or I'm pretty sure it's not the switch. It's probably something relative to the accident. I imagine it was a panic stop when they crashed this car. So let me just do a little, get out of this thing here before I smother. She's a stinker. Yeah, you see the cornflakes all over the floor there from the exhaust. And I just hooked everything up, tail lights and all the different lights, to make sure that everything there worked. And it's running pretty smooth right now, which is pretty nice. Gave me a little fright when I first started it up. Must have had a stuck lifter, at least that's what everybody says. So it was making a clatter from sitting so long. But it's good to go now. Anyway, shut it down before I commit suicide here in my closed up shop. Now, at this point, some things are going to start happening as far as taking this car back apart. And the reason is, originally I had my eye on this car on Craigslist as a platform for another body over, which I don't know whoever's watching, but I did a body over with a 68 Charger onto a 2006 SRT8 and turned it into a Dodge Daytona. There's some videos on the channel that show that project and how that came out. And I had my eye set on a 1971 Plymouth Roadrunner up in Hickory, North Carolina. It was like $2,400 for a shell with the glass, and everything looked pretty straight, not a lot of rust or anything like that. And I was going to do another body over with that. But that car got away from me. I got sick and I couldn't go and look at the car, and it got bought out from under me. Because $2,400 was ridiculous for a very clean car with bumpers and everything, and all the glass and all the trim. So that went down the road. So I decided to adjust my thinking. I got this car because the price was right. I figured I'll just fix it to this point, and if I get another idea for a project, I'll have this thing ready to go mechanically. And as you know, I changed out the front clip and all of that good stuff. But since then, I came across an idea that an artist drew back in 2007, and it's a pretty cool idea. If I can pull it off, it'll be probably a miracle, because these things are kind of tricky to do. But the artist's name is Doug Schramm, and he does a lot of concept cars and so forth. He's a freelance artist up in New Jersey. But this was on the internet, and this is basically a modernized version of a GTX or a Roadrunner. From, like I said, it's just an artist concept. And if you can take a look at what they call the greenhouse, this area in here, the windshield, the glass, and so forth, and the height of the car, the proportions that way. It's pretty much a lot of what we've got going on here. So the idea came to me to see if I couldn't, instead of cutting the whole body off, start with replacing the windshield and leaving all of this area, which is known as the greenhouse, above the belt line here, on the car, and try to build this starting from this point downwards. Now, there's a few tricky things here which I can't really replicate. The first one are these deep dish wheels. You know, on old school cars, you basically have a narrow rear end, and that's what allows you to put a real deep dish wheel as opposed to one that's facing off in the front like this. Well, the best that I can do is 2 deep dish wheels, but they'll be narrower in the front than they are in the back, with different offsets, so they'll appear to be deep dish, front and rear. I've got those wheels coming from Koi Wheels, and I really need to have those wheels before I can get started, and they probably won't be here at a full set until the end of July. And the reason being is they're about 2. I have 12s coming in the rear, which makes it about 2 inches wider, which is pretty much kind of like what the Hellcats have as far as a wide body. And you could see that this car, those tires and everything, tuck under there pretty well. And also you can see that it has what I call high hips on the car. So I have to commit to cutting off the quarter panels, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with these quarter panels. So that's something I've been trying to mock up around them, but the bottom line is this surface is too far out towards me. The seat post on this car comes down along, and you can see there's no ridge on this area here. This is almost a straight line down to the tire, which if you follow this line, you have to remove this and this high hip in order to get close to that idea. So at some point I'm going to have to commit to cutting off these perfectly good quarter panels and getting into that. Now, fortunately for me, AMD has started to make replicas of the 71 Roadrunner GTX satellite quarter panels. So I have a start. Not 100%, because the dimension of the body from this point of the window down to the rocker panel, of course, is much fatter, you know, top to bottom. It's taller, and it's also taller in the drawing. So there's going to have to be some sectioning. The panel's going to have to get cut along this side and then cut down here, and then this is going to have to be pulled in and abbreviated up the hill a little bit. The other aspect that I'm going to have to change in order to try and replicate that drawing is this body line that comes in above the wheel. Now, I'll have to cut the panels in the center and move them in to close the wheel openings from front to rear, because these are huge. I've already had this hung on the car, and somewhere along the line I'll show you how that looks. But this will have to be cut along here and then folded flat, because the drawing has a much sharper line leading down to the tire. I'll get back there and show you that. Okay, you can see how this ends abruptly just above the tire. Also, I'm probably not going to have these tires facing out as far. I mean, I don't know how wide they'd have to be to match this drawing, but that'd be like, I don't know, 14 inches or something like that. Also, I was you can see that the front end is quite a bit different. Maybe I'll print out a side-by-side of what the differences are between this car and the 71. There's quite a few differences. This is the shorter hood, obviously, because of the forward-facing windshield. This is a little bit stubbier, but longer than the Challenger. So I'm going to have to extend my headlights out about probably 12 inches to get even this. This pan, this roll pan, is much deeper, which is nice because you have to cover this large radiator that's in the front of this car. The radiator is way down there, so pulling everything forward hopefully will help that. So that's just some of the challenges that I'm going to have with this. Of course, I'm going to have to fabricate the hood entirely. Now for the front fenders, I have a little bit of a cheat also. And this is the these are partial quarter panels over here, and I've got it upside down here right now, but you can see that you can pretty much cut out the shape here. Let me just go get a I was mocking up some sheet metal pieces here just to see what I could do, and this piece here would be, say, the front of the fender would be here, and then all of this would follow through, but this is going to take some mocking up also. So again, this piece will have to go. This will have to be cut along here, slid together, then a flange will be turned up right here to start my wheel opening just above this, or below this line right here, and it'll eliminate this body line also. So this will come down somewhere around here. And I'm not trying to make it look like a 71. I am trying to make it look like this rendering, and that could be tricky. Like I said, the proportions could really look stupid when I'm done, so I'm really going out on a limb with this one to see what can be done. And at the very least, I'll be out hunting for some Challenger quarter panels to put back on this thing, because I'm going to hack these things off. Anyway, I don't know exactly when I'm going to get to start to mock this up, but it should be an interesting project to get going with. Be nice to have started with something like an SRT8 or something like that, but money's always an issue. I want to prove that it can be done first before I go spending a lot of money on the donor car for something like this. I think you'll agree that an experiment like this, and it could turn out to be a fiasco. Anyways, that's where I am, and that's what I'm up to. I just thought you'd like to know.